A very good morning to you and welcome to my thought for the day. We're looking at Luke 22 and we're in verse 43 and 44, the events that happened in the Garden of Gethsemane. We often read them through quite quickly because there's something in us really that, apart from Good Friday, we don't really want to focus in on the suffering of the Lord in any great detail. Luke doesn't include some things that are included in the other Gospels, but we're going to stick with just what Luke records. And he records in verse 43 that as Jesus was praying in anguish, an angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And it's just thinking about the role of angels in the life of Jesus and in our lives. We know that angels do minister to us. They do come at different times, and they did for Jesus, but we have very little evidence that angels came to Jesus at any other point than after he had been tempted in the wilderness at the beginning of his ministry, and here in the garden. So I would not really expect angels to be frequent visitors to us. Certainly in the Acts of the Apostles they appeared a few times, but not with great regularity. They appeared for Peter and set him free from prison, but they didn't appear to Peter and Paul and Silas when they were in Philippi in prison. So I think they're rare visitors at times of crisis. And we need to be careful not to develop a theology about angels and multiple visits from angels, because it's not, I can't really go, I don't want to comment any more about that anyway. But then it goes on to say that Jesus, being in anguish, prayed more earnestly. And I'm sure it was on the same lines of, if I have to do this, give me the strength to do it, and I'll do it. And his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground. This was part of his suffering, I think. This time in the garden was part of his atonement for the sins of the world, because the fight between the flesh and the spirit is very intense at times for all of us, and it was for Jesus then. And there are times in our lives when our flesh completely rejects doing or acting in a particular way, because we know it's going to lead to trouble and difficulty and pain, and we avoid it if we can. And then Jesus came back and found his disciples asleep for sorrow, and I think I don't think they slept through the whole of the prayer of Jesus. I think they watched their Lord and Master in anguish, tormented in anguish, with this struggle between his fleshly will and the will of the Father, and they couldn't do anything to help him, and they were sad, and I think they realized that things were coming to a head, and all the things that Jesus had said to them were building up to this climax that was coming. It's a very difficult passage to study. I've always found Good Friday studies really almost too painful to attend, because I don't like to focus on the suffering of the Lord. I know his suffering was enormous and far greater than we can ever imagine. But it is good occasionally to focus on it and to realise what it cost God to redeem us. And then it makes anything that we do as a response to his love and to his commitment to us as a deeper commitment in return. So that's my thought for the day. Have a great day today. God bless you. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.